So good afternoon, students. So welcome to Microcontrollers Laboratory. So I am going to be your lab in charge. Supporting faculty members are Mrs. Diana, Mrs. Dhanalakshmi, Mr. Vinod Kumar, and Mr. K. Muralidharan. Okay. So this is your list of experiments. This lab focuses on 8051 microcontroller programming, that is both your assembly and embedded C programming. So generally, we will be doing our experiments using 8051 trainer kits. This semester, we are going to introduce MCU 8051 IDE. Okay. So next class, Diana madam and Dhanalakshmi madam will show you a demo about how to use 8051 trainer kits, and also they will show demo about how to execute the codes in 8051 trainer kits. Okay. So coming into the experiments, so the first cycle covers 5 experiments. Okay. That is, in first cycle, we will be doing assembly language program using MCU 8051 IDE. And second cycle, we will be doing our experiments on embedded C programming using Scale Microvision IDE. Roll number 18, please mute your mic. Roll number 18. So your first cycle covers 5 experiments, and first 2 experiments we will be concentrating on basic arithmetic and logical operation along with delay routines, that is data manipulation operations. And third one is your fourth one. So first 3 covers all your data manipulation, and third one is the string, the fourth one is the string manipulation, which covers searching, sorting, and solving a palindrome. And next one is the interfacing experiments such as ADC and DAC. So for that, we are going to use Proteus simulator for interfacing ADC IC with 8051 microcontroller. So first 4 experiments, it's based on your data manipulation, which includes all your arithmetic logic operation and expression evaluations and multi-byte addition and subtraction along with delay routine. And sixth week, that is sixth experiment, fifth experiment manipulation, which covers searching, sorting, and solving a palindrome. And the interfacing experiment, we are going to use Proteus simulator. Okay, and this MCU 8051 IDE is a free software integrated development environment for microcontroller based on 8051. Actually, this simulator has its own assembler and compiler, and also this will support 2 programming languages, that is both embedded C programming and assembly language programming. Okay. So in second cycle, we will be concentrating on embedded C programming using Scale Microvision IDE with Proteus simulator for verifying your result. So here we are going to concentrate on 8051 IO port programming, timer count programming, and interrupts, serial port programming along with case study experiment. So since Arduino is included in your theory, so the case study experiment covers Arduino based system. Here we are going to design a temperature monitoring system. And after completing 6 experiments, the CAT1 will be conducted. And after that, week 12, we are planning to conduct CAT2. Okay. So regarding the Scale Microvision, actually the Scale Microvision is the complete software development environment for a wide range of 8051 microcontroller devices. Actually, it provides control of compiler, assembler, and your real-time OS, there, that is a real-time operating system, project manager and debugger, in a single intelligent environment, and also with support for all 8051 devices and full compatibility with the emulators and third-party tool. So this simulator, that is Scale Microvision ID, is the best choice for developing 8051 based real-time projects. Okay, and also this provide full access to all the CPU resources and support up to 16 MB memory. Okay, we are going to use open source Scale Microvision, so the memory is restricted into 2 KB. Okay, and regarding this Proteus simulator, so it is like a prototyping tool. It is a simulation platform where we can create and program your microcontrollers without the requirement of physical hardware. So that is the importance of your Proteus. It is like a drag and drop environment. So it combining all, that is the combination of schematic simulation as well as PCB designing. Okay. So regarding your assessment,
Ma'am. Ma'am, are you there? Ma'am? She has left the meeting. She'll join soon. Please wait. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. So, meanwhile, I'll tell you the batch split up. Okay. The lab will be conducted in 2 batches. First batch students are first 32, and the remaining will come under the second batch. Okay. So, first batch will be on Monday, 6th and 7th hour. and second batch will be on Wednesday from first and second hour. Okay, and each student have been splitted to a particular faculty in charge, and roll number 1 to 6 will be under Dr. Pungodai ma'am. Okay, the overall lab in charge will be Dr. Pungodai ma'am, and this split up is for record evaluation, conduction of CAT. Uh, okay. So the split up is for record correction, then conduction of CAT, then conduction of Viva, and whatever you want to clarify, you can ask the particular faculty. So roll number 1 to 6 will be under Dr. M. Pungodai, and roll number 7 to 13, myself will take care, and roll number 14 to 20, Miss S. Dhanlakshmi ma'am will take care. Roll number 21 to 27, Mr. C. Vinod Kumar will be the in charge. Roll number 28 to 34, Mr. K. Muralidharan will be the in charge. Okay, so this is the split up for batch 1, Monday batch. Okay, so next for Wednesday batch, batch 2, number 35 to 40, Dr. M. Pungodai ma'am will be the in charge. 41 to 46, myself. 47 to 53, Miss S. Dhanalakshmi. 54 to 60, Mr. C. Vinod Kumar. 61 to 67, Mr. K. Muralidharan. Okay. So I'll also like to share some general procedure. Okay, so by the end of the course, you will be expected to complete all the experiments taught in the lab, and the lab instructions will be given before the start of every experiment. Okay, and you'll have to attend 2 CAT exam. Sorry, test, continuous assessment test. CAT 1 will be conducted at the end of first cycle experiment, and CAT 2 will be conducted at the end of second cycle experiment. Okay, so here you can see the split up of marks for 100, or the detailed assessment for 100 marks. Okay, so experiment marks will be for 40. Okay, and here under 6 you can see the detailed assessment for the experiment. For program and flowchart, you'll be given 10 marks. For Viva, 10 marks. Result, 5 marks, and totally 25 marks. So this 25 marks will be up converted to 40 marks. Okay, and you'll be allotted 40 marks for continuous assessment test 1 and 20 marks for test 2. So overall, totally you'll be awarded 100 marks. Is this clear? So each lab experiment will carry 25 marks. So program and flowchart you have to do. The input and output results you have to write, and Viva will be asked. Okay. And every week new experiment will be taught by the faculty members, and you will be asked to submit only the output sheet. Okay, for every experiment along with the study material or along with the lab exercise, you will be given the output sheet. So as you have in your first experiment also, a study material and an output sheet would have been uh, loaded in the Google Classroom, right? So similar way for each and every experiment, study material and its output sheet will be uploaded in the Google Classroom. Okay, and moreover, you'll also be asked to simulate similar type problem statement whenever required. Okay, so in an experiment, as ma'am said, there'll be 2 or 3 subdivisions, and one of the subdivision will be explained by the faculty, and the remaining may be asked by you to simulate and submit it at the end of the lab class. Okay, and the main important thing is you need not submit the entire material again. So you have to resubmit only the output sheet with filled input and output values. Okay. So this is the output sheet. So you'll be given this blank sheet for each experiment. You should write the code, draw the flow chart, and write only the output. Okay, so maximum only 2 pages you'll have this output format for each experiment. And after the end of each experiment, in some 2 or 3 days, you have to submit this output sheet in the Google Classroom. Okay, so in the Google Classroom, some deadline will also be fixed for the submission of output sheet, and you have to submit it before the deadline to for getting the full marks, and there'll not be any reduction in marks if you submit before the deadline. If we get your submissions after the deadline, respective marks based on the date of submission will be reduced. Okay. So, and after the completion of each experiment, Google Forms will be circulated. Okay, so you have Viva for 10 marks, and it will be difficult for us to ask Viva question to each and individual student because it's a programming lab. Each day it takes some 1 hour 15 minutes to teach the programming and do the simulation. It will take more than 2 hours also. Okay, and it will be difficult for us to ask Viva individually. So we have planned to circulate Google Forms, objective type Google Forms with questions related to the particular experiment. Okay, so you'll be given some 1 hour time for filling the Google form. Some 10 questions will be there, and you have to submit the form within that time. Okay, so this should be a general practice for all the experiment, and we expect active participation and interactive online lab class throughout. Okay, and one more thing, when you submit your output sheet, you will be given input and output column. Okay, so all students should not submit this output sheet with same input values. Okay, we should not see any repetitive input values. So each one of you should use a different hexadecimal input value, simulate the input value individually. Okay, so this lab will be like you will take some input, do some operation, get the output. Okay, so you take different input values, perform the operation or do the given problem statement and get the respective output. Okay, so here there will not be any ambiguous in the output because you can do the manual calculation and check whether you have got the same output values or not. Okay, so each one of you should have a different input value and the corresponding output value filled in the output sheet. So you can fill the output sheet by directly typing it, or if you don't have a laptop, you can download that, take printout, write the values and scan it and resubmit it in the Google Classroom. Okay, I think I have given all the general procedures and instruction. Do any have any doubt? Okay, so I think I've covered all the general procedures. Do you have any doubt? Proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Wednesday batch
Ma'am,
no
Wednesday
need to come on
batch.
Monday batch right now.
See, this time, this Monday, all are together, right? So for Wednesday also, the whole class will join the meet. So it's like instruction class, and from next Monday, I think it's one, right? So batch one will be the Monday's batch. Am I right? So this is first lab. 46 is the first lab. What's the other lab you have? LIC lab.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, LIC lab.
Yes. So LIC is the next lab. Okay. So February 1st, the first 34 will have microcontrollers lab. Okay. And the remaining 34 will have your microcontrollers lab on Wednesday, 1st and 2nd hour. Is it okay? Yes.
Ma'am, while the first 34 are attending, the next 34 should not attend, ma'am.
No, they'll be attending the LIC lab.
Okay, ma'am.
It's not like the previous semester, it's batch wise lab. So first batch, when they attend the microcontrollers lab, the second batch will attend the LIC lab.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So this is from February 1st. But when this Wednesday, 27th, all the 67 should attend microcontrollers lab. Okay.
Diana,
Ma'am.
instructions over.
Instruction and split up instructions mark split up la solita ma'am.
Okay. Let's start.
Experiment wise அது சொல்லுங்க.
என்னமா எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் கோர்ஸ் பிளானா?
Yes ma'am.
அது அது வேண்டியதில்லை நினைக்கிறேன்.
சரி, okay ma'am. Okay.
ஓகே.
Okay ma'am.
பண்ணிட்டேன் நானு.
Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
ஏதாச்சும் சிஸ்டம் ஏதோ ப்ராப்ளம் ஏதாவது இருந்தா நீ ப்ரொஜெக்ட் பண்ண.
Yes ma'am.
So your first experiment is study of 8051 microcontroller and simple 8051 assembly language program. So in this experiment, we are going to do arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, that is 8-bit addition, 8-bit multiplication, subtraction and division, and logical operation. Okay. Have you all received this material? Has everyone received this material, study material?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you gone? Actually, this material covers your 8051 architecture, okay, and programming model, which includes all your special function register and your memory organization and I/O port operations, okay. So please go through this document, okay. Before start doing your experiment, please go through it. Pin diagram details. And the page number 16 and 17, you can ignore because the trainer, so please ignore this page number 16 and 17. And instruction summary, 8051 instruction summary along with your programs, okay. So first I will demonstrate, that is, I will explain a simple addition, 8-bit addition, multiplication, subtraction and division. So after that you have to complete a logical operations and or XOR and NOT, okay. So before that, I am going to summarize the architectural features of your 8051. So before start doing our experiment, just I will brief about the 8051 architectural features, okay. So most widely used registers in 8051, the first one is the accumulator, okay. So what is the size of accumulator and what is the purpose of accumulator? So what is the size of your accumulator?
Roll number 11.
So I think I have covered all these features in your theory class.
Number 11.
What is the size of accumulator register? Students, please interact.
Number 11, can you unmute and answer the question?
So what is the purpose of accumulator?
8-bit.
8-bit, okay. What is the purpose of accumulator? So it's a main register. It is associated with your arithmetic logic unit. So it holds the one of the source operand, okay? And after the execution of every instruction, arithmetic logic instruction, the result will be holded by accumulator, okay? That is the purpose of your accumulator. Is a very important register in 8051 architecture. And other registers are B register. B register is called as math register. It's mainly used for performing your multiplication and division, and R0 to R7 are general purpose register. Okay. Along with this general purpose register, we have two 16-bit register. One is the data pointer, other one is the program counter. Okay. So the data pointer is called as DPTR. The size of the data pointer is 16-bit. Okay. So it is divided into DPH and DPL, okay? So this is your lower order data pointer and this is your higher order data pointer. And another important memory pointer is the program counter. The size of the program counter is 16-bit, okay? Actually, program counter points to the address of the next instruction to be executed. So the size is 16-bit. So this means that it can access program addresses from 000 to FFF. That is 2 power of 16. It's capable of addressing 64 kilobytes of code. Please note it down. It's a very important point. So it points to the address of the next instruction to be executed. So after execution, it's automatically incremented and pointing the next memory locations. So these are the very important register used in your 8051 programming. That is accumulator, B register, and general purpose registers from R0 to R7. These registers are 8-bit registers. And two memory pointers are mainly involved in 8051 programming. One is DPTR, other one is the program counter. So both are 16-bit registers. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, next I will explain the syntax of your 8051 instruction. Okay. So, this is the syntax. So, it's a simple instruction, move instruction, move destination operand, comma, source operand. Okay. So, what is the meaning of operand and opcode? What is the meaning of opcode? Define opcode.
The action which is to be performed.
Action.
Which is to be performed on the
Opcode is the part of the instruction. So opcode is the part of the instruction that specifies the operation to be performed. So in this case, move is the opcode. So what is the purpose of move instruction?
It copies the data from one
Just copies the data from source to destination. Okay. So this one is the source operand. So this is the source operand and this is the destination operand. So this instruction is used to copy the data from source operand to the destination operand. Okay. Means data on which the operation to be performed is called operand. Here, this will be your operand. For example, move A, comma, hash 55. So move is the opcode, A comma hash 55 is the operand. Okay, is that clear? And also, based on the length of the instruction, your 8051 instruction set classified into 3 types. One is the single byte instruction, other one is the 2 byte instruction, third one is the 3 byte instruction. So based on the length of the instruction, the 8051 instruction set is classified into single byte instruction, 2 byte instruction and 3 byte instruction. So look at this instruction, move A comma hash 55. Okay, here the symbol hash is used. So that indicates, that is the symbol indicates that this operand is a 8-bit or 16-bit data. So 8-bit and 16-bit data is preceded with this hash symbol. So it signifies that it is a value. So this value may be 8-bit value or 16-bit value. Okay. So what is the next instruction? Move R0, comma A. So it is used to transferring, copying the content from A into R0. So after execution, your accumulator, that is after execution, your accumulator holds 55 and R0 holds 55. Just it copies the data, that is moves the data from source to destination. So after execution, your source register will not be altered. Okay. It retains the same content. Okay. Next, move R1, comma A, copies the content of A into R1. Next, it will copy the content of A into R2. Next is the immediate value. This value is the 8-bit value. So that value is transferred to R3. Next, R3 to accumulator. So these are the examples of move instruction. Okay. So most of the cases, that is your source can be direct address of memory or register names or immediate value. Okay. Immediate value example, move A comma hash 55. Register name, move R0 comma A. Okay. So in this case, move A comma hash 55. Okay. So hash represent this number is the immediate value. Suppose this value is not present. Okay. So that case, the hex number, this 55 would be taken as an address. Okay. So move A comma 55 means this 55 is considered as 8-bit address. In this way, you can differentiate your address and data. If you are specifying any data in the instruction, so that for particular instruction, you have to incorporate hash symbol. If hash is not present, okay, that hex number would be taken as an address, 8-bit address or 16-bit address. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So these
ma'am.
are some of the points. Please note it down. Move A comma hash 23. If it is not proceeded with hash, it means to load from memory location, which means this number is taken as address. So it can be an internal address or external address. And some cases, we are using the 0, move R5 comma hash 0 F9. So this 0 indicate that this F is a hexadecimal number, not a string, not a character, not a letter. Okay. So that indication is represented by this 0. So add 0 to indicate that this number is the hexadecimal number. Okay. Suppose if you are using move A comma 05 instruction. Okay. So your A is loaded with this value 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay. So rest of all the bits are assume to be 0. Okay, so this is your 5. So 0, 5. Suppose if you are moving a large value means move A, comma 7F2. The instruction is given here, okay? So this instruction is a illegal instruction because your 8051 is an 8-bit microcontroller. It can accommodate values from 0 to 255 only. In case 0 to FF. If it is greater, it will generate error, okay? And also the important thing is suppose if we are using add instruction, add A, comma R2. Okay. So here your source operand can be either a register or immediate data, but destination must always be a register. Okay. Suppose I am writing the instruction add R4. This instruction is the invalid instruction. So your destination must always be accumulator only, not other register. Okay. Add R4 comma A or add R2 hash 12. So these instructions are invalid instruction since A must be the destination of any arithmetic operation. Okay. So any doubts to this? Yeah. You have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. So these are the steps for assembling and running a program in an 8051 assembler or compiler, okay? So the first step was the editor program, okay? So first we use an editor to type a program. So that is the first step, okay? And you should save your file with an extension of .asm. Suppose if you are developing any assembly program, you have to save your file with an extension of file name with .asm. Suppose if you are developing any embedded C program, you have to save your file with .c extension. Okay. So the ASM source file containing your program code. Okay. So this source file containing your program code is given to the assembler. So this is the step number 2. Okay. So the assembly program is given to the assembler. So assembler converts the instructions into machine codes. So what is the purpose of assembler? Converts the assembly level instructions into machine code, and it will produce two files. One is the object file, other one is the list file. So the extension for the object file is obj and extension for the list file is lst. And next, assembler requires a third step called linking. So this component is called linker software module. So this program takes one or more object files and produce absolute file ABS with the extension of .abs. Okay. So this file is mainly for monitoring your program. And next, this ABS file is fed into the program called OH program. What is OH? That is object to hex. object to hex, which creates a file with the extension hex, okay, that is ready to burn into your ROM 8051 ROM IC. So these are the process involved in your assembly level language, that is assembly language programming development, that is program development. Okay, so first one is the editor, and create your assembly language file, and that file is given to the assembler. Assembler is for converting instructions into machine code, and it will create two file, object file and disk file, and that is given to the linker file. So output of the linker is file name with ABS. So that is given to object to hex converter. So finally your file is ready to burn into the ROM. Okay, so these are the process involved in your assembly language programming. So regarding this list file, so this file is an optional one. So it is very useful to the programmer or manufacturer. So it lists all the opcodes and addresses as well as error. So using this file, we can find the syntax error. Okay. So look at this example. So first instruction is the move R5, #25. Okay. So this instruction takes 2 bytes of memory. That is, the 7D is the opcode of the instruction. This 25 is the immediate value. Byte instruction means it takes only opcode alone. Okay. So single byte instruction requires one memory location for storing opcode. So 2 bytes opcode plus your 8-bit data. Okay. So one memory location for opcode and another memory location for 8-bit data. So look at this example, move R5, #25. It takes 2 bytes of memory location. One is for opcode, other one is for your operand. Okay. And next instruction, move R7, #35. So instruction 7F and 34 is the immediate data. Okay. Similarly, for move A, #0 is the 2-byte instruction. And look at this example, add A, R5. So the purpose of instruction is used to add the content of R5 register to accumulator. After the addition, result will be held by your accumulator. So this instruction requires one memory location. So this instruction is the 1-byte instruction. That is 2D is loaded in 0006. Okay. So based on the instruction length, your instruction set is classified into single byte instruction, 2-byte instruction and 3-byte instruction. For single byte, only it requires opcode. That is, opcode is stored in one memory location. For 2 bytes, 1 byte is for opcode and next byte is for operand. That is 8-bit data. Suppose the 16-bit data is specified in the instruction. That case, it requires 3 bytes. One is for opcode, other one is for lower order byte, other one is for higher order byte. Example, move #A, move DPTR, #4500. So the size of this instruction is 3 bytes. So first byte is for your opcode. Second byte is for your LSB. Third byte is for your MSB. So this instruction requires 3 memory location to accommodate your opcode, lower order address and higher order address. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So 2 byte means one memory location is for your opcode and another memory location is for storing your immediate data. That data is the 8-bit data. Okay. So that's all about your architectural features of 8051. Next, we will move on to the simulator 8051 MCU IDE. So first, I will explain how to create project using that IDE. Okay. So this is MCU 8051 IDE. Actually, this is a graphical IDE for microcontrollers based on 8051. It is an open source platform. It supports more than 79 microcontroller unit. Okay. So to create project, first you click project icon here. You click this new. Students, please note down the steps. So here you have to specify your project name, okay? My project name is MCU 8051, okay? So after that, you have to locate your directory. So this is the directory. So here you have to create new folder. So click OK. So now your directory is located here. So after that, you have to select your processor. So we are using 8051 microcontroller. So select that 8051. So select your microcontroller, what we are using. So 8051 is selected. And after that, you have to enable both your data memory and code memory. Okay. So enable this. So the memory range 0 to 65536, which means it's capable of addressing 2 power of 16 memory location. And enable your code memory also. Okay. Click OK. So this is the main screen of your simulator. Okay. So here you can see, so this window is the register window. So using this window, we can view all the register status. That is all your general purpose register and also special function register, from accumulator B register, along with all your general purpose register. Okay. So here 2 provisions are given. So it can represent either in hexadecimal or decimal format. Okay. And next, this window is the internal RAM memory. What is the size of your internal RAM memory? So your internal RAM memory size is
120.
128 bytes.
120.
Okay, that 120 bytes is divided into 3 parts. So what are they? So 120.
32, 16.
Huh? Okay, what is the size of your general purpose register memory segment?
32 bits.
30
32 bits or bytes?
Bytes, bytes.
bytes.
Bytes, 32 bytes. Okay, what is the next segment?
16 bytes.
16 bytes for bit addressable area and remaining 80 bytes for your scratch pad memory. Okay. So this window provides your internal RAM memory that is from 0, the address range is from 0 to 00 to 7F, okay, 78, okay. Here you can see all your register bank status, okay, and here you can see all your register, your accumulator, B register, PSW, and general purpose register R0 to R7, and special function registers TCON, TMOD, and interrupt enable register, and all your IO ports 3, okay. And here you can see this register is a PCON register, power control register, and serial control register. DPTR. So DPTR is divided into DPH and DPL, and stack pointer, and your microcontroller frequency is 12 megahertz. And here we have S buffer register and program counter. So we can view all the register status, that is general purpose register, all your memory pointer using this window, okay. And also we have two important components in this simulator. One is the virtual hardware, other one is the virtual MCU, okay. So first virtual hardware. So this simulator supports 7 hardwares. So using this virtual hardware, we can interface this particular hardware device with your 8051 microcontroller, okay. So this is the LED panel. So we can connect this LED panel to 8051 microcontroller virtually through your ports. So you can access 3 ports in this LED panel, 4 ports, 0, 1, 2, 3, okay. So individual bits can be accessed. So we can directly connect this LED panel to the 8051 microcontroller to explore the port operations, that is IO operations, okay. So next hardware is the LED display. So this LED, we can connect this LED display to the 8051 through your ports. That is port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3, okay. And LED matrix, multiplexed LED display. So these devices, that is this virtual devices, should be connected to the microcontroller via your ports, okay. And simple keypad. LCD, and LCD we have many options, that is 1x8 display, 2x8, 2x16, 2x20, and 2x40. Okay. So we can program this LED via your IO ports, okay. And next, the final one is the temperature sensor. So hardware interfacing program can be done by using this option, that is virtual hardware options, okay. And virtual MCU, we have got 2 important memory, that is code memory and external data memory. So code memory contains all your instructions, that is, which means that your opcode, and data memory contains all your inputs. So after execution, the hex code will be available. After execution of your program, the hex codes of the particular program will be stored in this code memory. So the addressing range from, that is, address will be from 00 to FFF0. Okay. So X data memory. So using this memory window, we can enter our inputs. Okay. So address range is range from 0000 to FFF0. Okay. So under utility option, we have many features. So one is the hex editor. So we can enter our hex codes here and also
Ma'am,
using
we can't
this.
able to see the screen, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Diana?
screen is not visible, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, we
Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
So we have two memories under this virtual NCU. One is code memory, another one is the data memory. Code memory contains all your instructions. Okay. So the address range is from 0000 to FFF0. Likewise, your program memory, that is data memory. So using this memory window, we can enter, that is, we can give our inputs to our program. So the address range is from 0000 to FFF0. Okay. So under utilities option, we have many provision, that is, it supports so it provides many facilities. Okay, so this is the hex editor, hexadecimal editor. Using this editor, we can store our opcodes. Using this window, we can store our opcodes. Here you can see all the versions of your number representation, representation, octal
Ma'am,
and
your voice
binary.
is
Okay,
breaking. Ma'am,
Diana.
break ஆச்சு voice. இப்போ okay, ma'am.
Okay, wow. Students, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next one is the 8-segment editor. So this is for your common cathode configuration and this is for common anode. Suppose I am entering the value 10. So based on the hexadecimal input, the corresponding segment will be turned on. Okay. So based on the hex code, and this option is for common cathode and this is for common anode. And this is your ASCII chart. So using this ASCII chart, you can trace your characters along with your hexadecimal equivalent. Suppose I am entering A. So the hexadecimal equivalent for this character 61, octal value 141, decimal value 97, binary value this one. Okay. So in this way, we can trace the ASCII chart. Actually, this is a interactive ASCII chart provided by 8051 IDE. And this will provide, this window provides entire instruction set of your 8051. So you can refer your instructions here. So here I am entering 1 0. Okay. So 1 0, the corresponding instruction is JBC. Suppose I am entering 0 0. So the corresponding instruction for this particular opcode is no operation. So using this table, you can refer your instruction syntax. Okay. So that's all about your utilities. And also we have base converter. Using this converter, we can perform number conversion from hex to decimal and hex to binary and hex to octal. Okay. So this special calculator is for time delay programs. So your time delay can be verified by using this special calculator. So according to our 8051 architecture, we have two timers, timer 0 and timer 1. So these timers are mainly used for generating time delays. So that time delay period can be verified by using this calculator. Okay. So that's all about your features of this particular IDE. Anything left out, Diana? So this provision, this window is exclusively designed for your external hardware interfacing. So using this window, you can access your external hardware which is connected to this PC. Okay. Diana? I think I have covered all. எல்லாமே சொல்லிட்டேனா? Anything left out?
Yes, ma'am. இல்ல ma'am.
See, here we have two options. One is the simulator option, other one is the C variable. So suppose if you are developing embedded C program, so that variables mentioned in the programs can be monitored by using this window. And also we have provision, that is IO port monitor. Using this IO port monitor, we can monitor the status of all the ports, that is port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3. And this is for compiler. So here you can see all your compilation messages. And also we have a scientific calculator, that is program calculator. So here we can do all our calculations. So that's all. So next we will do simple addition program, that is unsigned addition. So the given instruction is add a comma source. So what is the operation of this instruction?
It adds the value of source and A, and source it is
And B,
A with accumulator. So this instruction is used to add two operands. So two operands means here source operand and destination operand. So according to the add instruction, the destination operand is always in A register, and source operand can be register, immediate value or memory address. Okay. So look at this example. Add a comma hash 0 F5. Here F5 is the hexadecimal value. So that value is transferred to accumulator. So after move operation, the instruction given here is add a comma hash 0B. So the operation of this instruction is, so this instruction is used to add Fi with 0B. So based on the results, your flags will be affected in PSW. Okay. So add these two and find out the flag status F5 and 0B. Add F5 and 0B. And find out what will be the content of your accumulator. So your input F5 and 0B, add these two. So what is the answer, students?
0, ma'am. 0.
Huh?
0H.
What will be the accumulator content?
Oh,
0. So please put your answers in the chat box. What is the answer? So adding F5, 0B. So the answer is 0, 0. So what about your flag status?
carry flag is set to 1.
Carry flag is set to 1. So what about auxiliary carry?
That is also set to 1.
Okay. Parity. Okay, very
1,
good.
ma'am.
0, 0, 0 as the answer. Okay. So adding F5 and 0B, after the addition, you will be getting this value. So based on this, your carry flag is set to 1. Your parity is 0, not 1. So odd parity means your parity flag is set to 1. So parity flag is 0 and auxiliary carry is 1 because there is a carry from D3 to D4. Okay.
Ma'am, there is no 1, no, ma'am. So, number of ones is 0, which is E.
If number of ones is on means your parity flag is set.
Okay, ma'am.
So even number of ones, your parity is reset. Odd number of ones, your parity is set. So what is the first instruction based on the example?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, how we are adding F5 and 0B to be 100 hexadecimal, ma'am?
I will explain now. I will explain. One second. So what are the inputs? F5 and 0B. F5 and 0B. So for F, the binary equivalent 1, 1, 1. 5, 0, 1, 0, 1. For 0, 0, 0, 0. And B, 1, 0, 1, 1. So add these two. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay. So there is a carry. So 1 plus 1, 0. Again 1 plus 1, 0, 0. Here 0, 0, 0, 0. And there is carry from D7. Okay. So your carry flag is set to 1. Is that clear? So based on the result, your flag will be affected and auxiliary carry also set to 1. So what is your first instruction? Move
F5 to hash F5 to A.
A comma hash 0 F5. Okay. So next instruction, add A comma hash 0 F5H. What is the second one?
0BH.
0B. 0BH. Okay. And terminate your program. Okay. So I will execute the program step by step. Okay. So for simulate your program, go to simulator and click on this start. Okay. Before that, you have to save this file. Extension .asm. Okay. So now this file is successfully added to your project. Next, we have to compile this program. So for that, you have to click this one. Okay. So your compilation is successful. Okay. So here you have to click this one for step-by-step execution. Okay. So first I am clicking, first I will execute the first instruction, move A comma hash 0 F5. Okay. So here, please listen, your A, after the execution, your F5 is loaded into the accumulator based on the first instruction, move A comma hash 0 F5. So what is the next instruction? Add A comma 0B. So next I am going to execute this add A comma hash 0B. Okay. So what is the answer here? Please look at this accumulator value after the execution, after the addition operation, your accumulator holds 0. So based on the results, your flags will be affected. So based on the addition, your auxiliary carry is, that is carry is set to 1 and also auxiliary carry is set to 1. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So another way of writing the program, that is move A comma 0 FF. And you can specify the immediate operand using another register, move A comma B comma hash 24H. And next, I'm going to add accumulator content with B register. So add these two and find out the answer. So your first data was 0FF, second data was 24. Add these two. So after the addition, what will be the accumulator and what is the content of your PSW? What is the answer?
23, ma'am.
23. Okay. We will execute this code. So first I am going to execute the first instruction, that is move A comma hash 0 FF. So here your accumulator is loaded with FF. Decimal equivalent is 255. Okay. After that, move B comma hash 24. So see here, your B register is loaded with 24. So what is the next instruction? Add instruction. So this instruction is going to add, this is used to add accumulator content with B register. Okay. So after the addition, your accumulator holds 23 and your flag status, your carry is set, auxiliary carry is set and parity is set. Okay. So first data is FF. Okay. So FF is equal to, in terms of binary, 8 ones. And next 24. So the binary equivalent 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So 1, 0, adding these two, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0 with carry. So 1, 1, 0, 0, okay. Next 1, 0, 0 along with your carry. So what is the answer? Answer is 23. Okay. So based on the result, your carry will be affected. That is, carry is set to 1 and your auxiliary carry set to 1 and odd number of ones, parity is set to 1. Google 2002. Is that clear, students?
Yes.
Any doubts? Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So shall we move on to the next one? Subtraction, unsigned subtraction. Any clarification in the 8-bit addition?
None.
Okay. So next one is the subtraction of unsigned numbers. So in many microprocessors, there are two different instructions for subtraction. One is SUB, other one is SUBB. So your 8051 has SUBB instruction alone. It is subtract with borrow. So here borrow is nothing but your carry. Okay. Actually, in subtraction, your 8051 microprocessor, that is microcontroller, use only 2's complement method because internally adder circuit only available. That is 8051 uses adder circuitry to perform your subtraction. Okay. So for this reason, we have to take 2's complement of your destination operand that should be added to your source operand. Okay. So 8051 uses adder circuitry to perform subtraction operation. Okay. For simple subtraction, we need to take 2's complement of your destination operand and that should be added to the source operand. Okay. To make SUBB out of, that is subtraction out of SUBB, we have to make this carry flag is 0 prior to the execution of your SUBB instruction, subtraction instruction. So during subtraction, so take the 2's complement of your source operand, add it to the destination operand. After that, you have to invert that carry. The carry should be inverted. So carry should be inverted. See, if the carry is equal to 0, after execution of SUBB, the result is positive. Okay, after inverting your carry is 0 means, okay, the result is positive. If carry is 1, the result is negative. So, and the destination has the 2's complement of the result. Okay. So, first step, so take 2's complement of your source operand. Okay. Second one, add this 2's complement to your, what is this destination, source operand. Okay. And third step, invert the carry flag. So if the carry is 0, after inverting your carry is 0, which means the result is positive. So the result is a positive number. Please note it down. If carry is 1, the result is in negative form. That is 2's complement form. That is normally your result is in 2's complement form. For that, we need to convert the answer result from 2's complement to true form. So let's take this example, that is FF24. FF minus 24. Okay. So the binary equivalent for FF is 111, 111. So first we need to take 2's complement of this 24. Okay. So 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So takes 1's complement, take 1's complement 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. And 2's complement. So add 1 to the LSB. So the answer is 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Okay. So this is the 2's complement representation of your 24. So add this value with this F. Okay. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So what is the answer? 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. The carry is generated. So after adding these two, according to your subtraction rule, this carry is inverted. Okay. Answer is DB. To indicating that the result is positive. Indicating that the result is positive. Similarly, your auxiliary carry also invert. So what is the answer? Answer is DB.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, isn't it 1101 1011, ma'am?
What? Engama?
The result, ma'am, 1101 1011.
1, 1.
01 101.
Okay. 1, 1, 0, 1. Okay. So let's do it in the simulator. So instead of R, just you give SUBB. SUB. So run this code. So first, according to the first instruction, A is loaded with FF. Next, B register is loaded with 24. So subtraction, after subtraction, your accumulator holds DB and your carry is reset and auxiliary carry also reset to indicate that the result is positive. Is that clear? So result is in true form, not in 2's complement form. So that is the indication. Using carry, we can identify the result is positive or negative. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Suppose next case, I am subtracting this FF from 24. So here, the first example, we are subtracting 24 from FF. So next, we are subtracting FF from 24. That is from a smaller number. That is, the smaller number is subtracted from larger number. Okay. Enter 24 and 0 FF, which means your FF is subtracted from 24. Okay. (24) minus FF. So I am subtracting larger number from smaller one. So let's see what happens. So we need to take 2's complement of FF. After that, add that 2's complement value into 24. Okay. So first you take 2's complement. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Add 1. So what is the answer? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Next add 24. 24, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So what is the answer? 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So your carry is 0. So after subtraction, according to the rule, your carry is inverted to indicate the result is in negative. That is, result is in 2's complement form. So what is the answer? It is 4, 5. But we are supposed to get DB, but we are getting 45. So the result is in 2's complement form. So user responsibility is that we need to convert this 45 into DB. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I will execute the code. So 24 is loaded into accumulator. FF is loaded into B register. After the subtraction, this is not 45, 25. Okay. So accumulator holds 25. Based on the result, your carry is set to 1 and auxiliary carry is set to 1 and parity set to 1. Okay. So your result is in 2's complement form. So next what I am going to do is, I am converting this 2's complement into true form. Okay. So for that, you have to use this instruction, complement A. So it will perform 1's complement. Okay. So this instruction is used to calculate the 1's complement value of accumulator. Okay. After that, I am adding 1 with the accumulator for converting 2's complement form to true form, we need to take 1's complement. After that, we have to add 1 with the 1's complement result. Okay. So what is the answer? 25. Okay. So your answer is 25. That is 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. So CPL, that is complement accumulator instruction, is used to calculate the 1's complement of your accumulator content. Okay. So 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So next instruction is increment A. So this instruction is used to increment the accumulator of the content of accumulator. That is adding 1 to the accumulator content. 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So what is the answer? D, B. So when we subtract larger number from smaller number, so that case result will be in 2's complement form and your carry flag is set to 1. That case we need to convert the 2's complement result into true form. For that we have to use 2 instructions, that is complement A and increment A. So after executing these 2 instructions, we will be getting the true form of your result, that is original value. Okay. So let's execute this code. So first instruction, 24 is loaded into the accumulator. And next FF is loaded into B register. After subtraction, your result is 25. Please look at this window. Your accumulator holds 25. Okay. Next, I'm complementing accumulator. So after complementing accumulator, your accumulator holds DA. Okay. Next, I'm going to increment accumulator content by 1. Okay. So this DA is now converted into DB. So this is the original answer. Is that clear?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, is there an option to directly take the 2's complement of?
Is there option? Can you repeat that question?
Is there an option to directly take the 2's complement form instead of?
No. There is no option. We have to use 2 instructions.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and also should we invert the auxiliary carry as well, ma'am, every time?
Yeah. After subtraction, the auxiliary carry and carry both are inverted.
Okay.
So based on the internal adder circuit of your 8051 microcontroller.
Okay.
So your 8051 does not have separate subtractor internally, only it has adder circuit. Okay.
Okay.
So we need to perform only 2's complement subtraction.
Okay.
Any other doubts? Diana,
Ma'am?
next class பார்த்துக்கலாமா இல்ல
Ma'am, 4:10 ஆச்சு.
NPA போ அப்படியா சரி நெக்ஸ்ட் கிளாஸ் வேணா என்ன பார்க்கலாம் சைன்ட் நம்பர்ஸ் பார்க்கலாம் மல்டிபிகேஷன் இல்ல சைன்ட் அடிஷன் சப்ட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ் இது வேணா எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த ப்ரோக்ராம் வேணா போட சொல்லலாம்
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
எஸ்
ma'am, can you say again the carry inversion?
Carry inversion. Okay. See here. This case I am subtracting smaller number from larger. That is, I'm subtracting this 24 from FF. Okay. So normally in the subtraction, your 8051 will perform 2's complement subtraction. So you have to take 2's complement of your, that is the destination operand, you have to take 2's complement. Okay. So if the binary 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So first step, you have to take 1's complement, inverting your bits 0 to 1, 1 to 0. Okay. To calculate 2's complement, add 1 to the 1's complement result. Okay. So after adding, you will be getting this one 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 0. So this should be added to your FF. FF or add pannoni, we will be getting this answer. So according to the result, your carry flag is set. Okay. So when carry is set means, okay, after subtraction, this value is inverted. That is carry and also your auxiliary carry. So your carry status is now 0 and auxiliary carry is 0. When carry is 0 means your result is in positive form, not in 2's complement form. So that is the conclusion. Okay. When carry is 0 means it indicates that result is in true form, that is positive form. So the answer is DB. That is the original answer. Okay. Suppose I am subtracting larger number from the smaller number. So that scenario, okay, you will get your carry is set to 1. Okay, your carry flag is set to 1, which means that the result is in negative form. So again, converting your answer into true form, we need to take 2's complement. So in this program, after subtraction, I have included 2 instructions, complement A, increment A, for converting your result, that is 2's complement results, into true form. So that is the concept. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
After inverting carry, you have to check whether carry is 0 or 1. If it is 0, the number is in true form, which means that the result is positive, otherwise negative. So that is the difference.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
Ma'am, do we have to manually like find the carry if it's 1 or 0, ma'am?
No, your 8051 will take care of that. So I have explained only internal operation of your 8051. See here, based on carry, you have to include these 2 instructions in your programming. So while programming this subtraction operation, you have to find out the carry flag status. If carry is set to 1 after subtraction, you have to incorporate these 2 instructions for converting your 2's complement result to true form. புரிஞ்சுதுங்களா? Students?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? Any clarifications? So please note down the homework problem. Move A, hash 04CH, move B, hash 06E, subtract A, B.
Work out this problem manually and also check your answer with the simulator. Okay.
That is 4C minus 6E. That is smaller, that is subtracting value from smaller value from larger. 4C minus 6E. It is subtracting larger value from smaller. So any other doubts? So next class we will do signed arithmetic addition, signed subtraction, and multiplication and division.